Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stream. There we go. You have it. The bell just rang, and the SPY is going to open down 2.5%. Definitely a pretty bad opening here on the day. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining up. Hunter says, had to stop in during class due to the bloodbath. Yeah, Hunter, it has been terrible this morning. That SPY is all the way down around 380. Seems like it might hold on that support, but man, we'll have to see what happens. On that 1 minute chart, it's definitely starting to get some nice upward momentum, though, at open, which is good. And we've seen so much steady selling pressure to the downside that I would think we could get a bit of a pop-up at some point, but man, who knows? But yeah, good morning, Hunter, E, Jamie, Mike Chang, Kenya, Peter. Thank you so much for joining. Peter says, only 2% for the start? I wanted negative 3% or what? Negative 4% by the end of the day? Yeah, I don't know, Peter. I mean, man, if we get down to negative 4.5% today, I'll be pretty upset. But yeah, that SPY has definitely had a rough one so far. Like I said, though, I wouldn't be surprised if we pop back up a little bit, just given how much we've been down the past few days. But, you know, keep in mind, if we pop up to like 384 intraday, it's not like we're not even going to be in the green at that point. So, you know, the SPY is probably going to be all over the place today, to say the least. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining up. Thank you, George. Yeah, hopefully you guys are having a great morning today. E says, hit that like and appreciate the play/info. Yeah, thank you so much, E. Like they said, smash that like, guys. It'll really help the stream out. We're at 8 likes right now, and, you know, the more likes we get, the more people that are going to see this on YouTube and stuff, so it always helps out. You can see, though, that 380 support, though, on the SPY so far today has definitely been holding strong. That IV is actually popping back up a little bit here at market open, which I found to be a little bit interesting. And I do want to say, I don't even have one stock on my watch list green today. Not one. The closest is LI at 0.08%. They're pretty much not moving at all. They did move down a little bit, but they ended up consolidating a lot here, right around that $30 resistance, and it looks like they're now going to take a tumble. But as far as stocks to the downside, I actually have ASTR down 25%, guys. I know that we talked about this one a little bit over the past couple years, but look at ASTR down 25%. That is insane, guys. Wow. I mean, ASTR, I cannot believe that this thing fell off the table as much as it did. There's got to be some news on them, guys. Let me check this out here really quick. Oh, yes, there is some bad news with ASTR here. So wait till you guys hear this one. This is not good. Their shares fall 25% after their rocket failed to deliver NASA weather satellites to orbit on Sunday. So it looks like they had some type of failure here. Wow, yeah, I'm reading this on the register, it looks like. Let's bring this up. Yeah, here it is. Orbital success counter stuck at 2 as upper stage of rocket shuts down early. Wow, yeah, that's not good. And they lost the Cube satellites, which, like they said, were some type of like weather satellites for NASA. So yeah, that is not good for Astra, guys. I know that Astra's had a lot of a lot of news lately, especially like with their rockets and launches and stuff. So to see them fall 25% is a pretty big move. Yeah, Peter goes, no, ASTR. Yeah, I feel bad for them. I can't believe they're down that much. But, you know, they did have a bad crash. That is kind of the risk with those stocks. But Peter also said, check out Redbox. And look at Redbox. They're up 24%. So I'll take that. I'm actually going to throw Redbox on my watch list here just for the next couple days. Just maybe, you know, it's having a pretty good move here. Like I said, it's up 22, almost 20. It was like 25% just a second ago. So this stock has some volatility, and you can see on Friday, Redbox was also up quite a lot, and now they're moving again. I think Redbox was going to be bought out by somebody. I can't remember the exact name. Oh, here it is. It's Chicken Soup is who it is. That's right. Chicken Soup for the Soul. Like that one book that people always talk about reading. But yeah, nonetheless, they are up 22%. So congratulations to Redbox on a stock on a day where every other stock is down. Their stock is up and doing quite well. I'm also noticing Beyond Meat is up in the green, believe it or not. You know, all these other growth stocks are down in the red, but Beyond is actually holding up quite well right now. So that is catching my eye a little bit. So I'll keep beyond on the radar. I don't know why they're green on a day where everything else is red. I also noticed Triple M was very close to green, but this one's a very slow mover, so I'm honestly not too surprised that that one is green. Peter says ASTR is a Wall Street bet stock, so be careful. Oh no, I meant Redbox, I think. I think he means Redbox is a WSB stock. Yeah, Peter, let me know which one you meant. I think he means Redbox though for sure. Always be careful with it. It's up 24%, of course. There's that big resistance up there at $18. That looks like a pretty good level, maybe to play a breakout at if you want to, but either way, it's looking like a pretty good setup today. You know, it has a lot of momentum compared to anything else, which is good. This is hilarious. Mike Chang says, they should write another book and call it Chicken Soup for a Crappy Market. Yeah, I feel you there, Mike. Man, they need to definitely come out with something like that because, man, this market is brutal. Look at the SPY. I mean, since last Thursday, the SPY went from 413 down to 380. Man, that's terrible. Like, let's just see, like, the percentage on this. Let's see. Let's find, like, that high of, like, 412 down to here. I mean, that's, like, 7%, guys, over, like, 3 days on a huge indice like SPY. You know, people never expect big moves like that, but wow, that is a very exponential move there. So, yeah, and Peter did mean Redbox when he said it was a Wall Street bet stock, so keep that in mind, guys. But yeah, Redbox is honestly one of the only stocks green today. Like, honestly, I'm not seeing anything else really up in the green. Like I said, LI is now green again, which is very interesting. Some of those China stocks. Let's see, BABA. You know, LI is green, but BABA's down. Let's see, Neo's down, unfortunately. XPEV. Oh, not even XPEV can come through. I don't know why LI is outperforming those. BYDDY is kind of dipping back down too. This is Warren Buffett's EV company over in China. He likes this one, and I will say I can kind of tell why. Look at that daily chart. I mean, it's been having one hell of a recovery, that's for sure. So, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of BYD, ticker BYDDY in the US, but BYD company is pretty big over there in China with EV stocks. Like I said, it's the stock that Warren Buffett has been trading. I don't know how long he's going to hold it, but man, it's been doing quite well. So kind of interesting to see how some of those stocks can outperform others. But yeah, guys, let me know what stocks you want to see, of course, and we will check them out. Of course, the market's been nuts today. All the moves are probably going to be to the downside, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but yeah, everything's down. We are getting some pops at market open out of some stocks. Like, it looks like AMD is like trying to pop back up a little bit. Let me see my watch list here really quickly. Yeah, I mean, you know, my watch list is just still terrible. Like, all these growth stocks are still down like 6%, 7%. Like, Square was down like 6%. Even though they're popping back up here, they're still down like 5 or 6%. It's kind of insane, but I guess they're going to have a long road to recovery here. But yeah, guys, I don't know. I don't think the market's going to do too well this week. You know, we have all these big economic data points coming out, as well as just the straight up movement with the market. But the big stuff is obviously going to be that FOMC meeting, of course, this week on Thursday. Where is that here? Let's see. There she is. Yeah, this week, I mean, on Wednesday. Sorry, guys. On Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, that's when Powell speaks. I posted it in the Discord this morning, so if anybody is interested in that, go check out the Swings channel, and you can see that, of course. But yeah, that interest rate decision is going to be huge, guys. They're looking to do another 50 basis point increase. Some people think that with inflation still going up, that Powell might start to raise rates at a quicker pace now. Personally, I think they're just going to do 50 basis points again, because every single time that we talk about them straying away from 50 basis points, they end up just coming in right at that expectation. So I'm just going to look for 50 basis points. I don't think that'll be too bad of a way to go with them. But, you know, I did want to check in on some of these energy or oil plays today. And, man, I'm noticing even they're falling off. Like Exxon, CVX, Oxy. They're all down this morning in a pretty big way. Again, you can see they're down like 5.58%. They're almost down to $60 in Oxy's case. I mean, Oxy's just been straight up exploding, guys. So to see them pulling back this hard is not too surprising. You know what I mean? It's just almost like normal price action. But at the same time, you would think that with inflation getting crazy, it would still maybe help some of the crude oil stocks. It does look like crude oil itself is also falling over a little bit though, which is a little bit unfortunate. That does put a damper on those crude oil stocks, which is, not good. So those stocks are falling down a lot harder, it looks like, though, than crude oil is. Crude oil is honestly holding up fairly well considering all of the crazy movement lately. I wonder how gold and silver are looking. Let's see. Ooh, GLD is pulling back in a big way, guys. All the way back down to before the move from that economic data on Friday. Remember that economic data came out on Friday showing, what was it on Friday? Was it no. Yeah, it was. It was the CPI data on Friday. The inflation data came out, just showed the market going absolutely nuts. I know this week we have PPI data coming out. So last week we had the CPI data. My favorite thing to look at with CPI data was that core inflation. And the core inflation was actually falling month over month, which was very interesting compared to the regular inflation, which was actually up slightly. So it was good to see core inflation down a little bit, although it did come in like 0.1% over the expectation still. I think that expectation was supposed to be at like 5.9%, and it came in like right at 6%. So just a little bit over, but nothing too drastic on the core inflation. Keep in mind, the inflation numbers themselves were a little bit higher. I think it was like 8% or something really close to that. But I really like to look at core because the core inflation excludes food and energy. So to me, that's a big deal because, energy has just been nuts, and, so is food, honestly. So it's been kind of a weird market if you count those. But let's see here. Peter goes, it's funny to see Amazon trading around 105. Yes, it is, Peter. I'll tell you, that seems like a really good thing to grab right now for some shares, maybe. We did have this one big leg down. It looks like we're going to maybe have a second leg to the downside here, so I don't think I'd grab them yet on Amazon, but man, it's definitely tempting to average in or at least to short some puts on. That looks so cool with Amazon down there so low. I just can't believe it's that insane there. Mike Chang says, I tried to dedicate this past weekend to learning options and shorting. So confusing, but I'm getting there. How would you play Apple? Sell some puts? That's actually a really good way to go, Mike. I'll tell you, if you're learning how to short options and how to just learning more options in general, whether you're shorting them or learning how to do different spreads or whatever it is, I'm really glad you're doing that, Mike, because that'll really swing the odds in your favor. Yes, with Apple right now, I would either sell a put in hopes of getting a longer term position, or just acquiring some nice weekly income, or you could just buy a put on Apple and just buy some shares, or you could buy shares and start selling covered calls on it. There's lots of ways you could start to do this. Now, whenever I say buy shares, I don't mean go all in right now. I just mean you might be able to get, if you're going to get like 500 shares in total, maybe getting like 100 shares now and then starting to sell some covered calls would be a good way to go. But personally, I would recommend, kind of like what you said, sell some puts here. I think that would be a great opportunity on Apple right now. Whenever I'm looking at Apple, if you go out to like the 120 strike, you could sell the 120 strike put. Let's see. The 120 strike put for July 15th. And you could get paid $200 to do that, and the stock's costing $120 right now. So, that is a pretty good, that is pretty good there to get paid $200 on that. But, just keep in mind, if you do get assigned, you will have to pick up 100 shares of Apple at $120. I will say $200 on, like if you do get assigned on $12,000 isn't really the best. I would definitely look for a little bit higher premiums, maybe like the 130 strike for this week might be better. You might get paid like, or I shouldn't say for this week, for July 15th, that's going for like $465, $470. So if you wanted to get closer to the money, then you could do that. The good thing about the 130 strike right now is that if you got that, it's still lower than the price today. So if you were going to average in today, you might as well just short the 130 strike anyways, because it's like $4 less than 134. So, and you'll get paid $400 to do that, which is going to lower your price down anyways. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I think that'll be a really good way to go, shorting some puts here on Apple. It all depends though on your account. You know, like if shorting one put on Apple, if that takes up all of the, I guess, all the capital in your account to do that, then that might not be the best idea. But you know, if you could maybe do that 3 times on Apple, then starting to average in now, I think would be a really good way to go. So really good question though, Mike, and I'm really glad that you're learning selling some of those options. I think that's going to be a really awesome way for you to go over the next few months. But yeah, I would sell a put on it right now, or just try to average in the shares for the long term and then sell some covered calls. Either or, but yeah, selling the puts is definitely good to go if you can pick up 100 shares there. E says ZM is struggling. Let's see. Good old Zoom. Wow, it is. Yeah, I had a pretty crazy morning, I'll say. It had that big drop down there right at market open or just before it, and then ripped right back up. They got pretty close to that key $100 support. So yeah, to see this move is pretty insane. I mean, I can't believe that the stock's moving like this. So yeah, Zoom is having a very good day here, and it's exploding right back up. So maybe we'll see Zoom pop back up. Like you said, it's struggling, but it's definitely holding its ground okay. At least we're not heading back towards 100 yet. Although I will say, I would not be surprised if we did. So, man, I hope the market can start to slow down a little bit, though. Peter says, don't forget, we also have $3 trillion in options expiring this Friday. Yeah, I'm guessing you mean the quad witching and all of that. I'll be honest, I'm not too... I don't think that the quad witching really affects the market too much, but, you know, hey, we'll see what happens. You know, it definitely could with all this volatility and stuff going on. I think that might just add fuel to the fire, so we'll have to see. But from what I've seen in the past, quad witching hasn't done too much, or it hasn't, you know, really caused too much crazy price action or anything. So, you know, that's my thoughts on quad witching. But hey, if you guys have different opinions on quad witching, let me know in the comments, because like I said, I haven't really looked too much into the quad witching in a while. I know like people used to talk about quad witching a lot like a year or two ago. Then it kind of slowed down, but now I've been hearing it obviously uptick as we're heading into another one this week. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But Mike says, great advice, Tom. Thanks again. Yeah, thanks for being here, Mike. You know, if you ever want to talk anything economically or anything like that, just let me know, of course. Jerry says, for oil such as BP and Exxon, if you anticipate them to go down, would you sell your shares to take profit or just hold to get the dividends? Maybe buy a put. So Jerry, if I had shares right now of these big oil companies, obviously the main thing is it depends on where you're buying in at. But like, for example, like let's say Exxon was really low down here during COVID, right? Let's say I was grabbing up some shares down here, and I was grabbing them up around like, you know, $32 to $40, like somewhere between there. If my average price is down here, you know, and the stock's all the way up here, then I think holding it, you know, then I think holding some of these oil stocks will be the way to go, because your price is all the way down to $30. Like the chance of Exxon falling back down to 30 anytime soon is going to be really low. Even down to 60 in the short term would be super, you know, the chance of that is super low. I could see it happening eventually, but, you know, it will take some time to do that. But my whole point with this is that if your average price is all the way down here and the stock's up here, you can hold it because you can kind of, you know, overcome those market fluctuations. And like you said, you'll get paid those dividends as the market fluctuates there in between. But if you were buying Exxon, you know, like around like whenever Warren Buffett started buying Oxy or something, your average price would be like, you know, maybe like $75, $80, $85, something like that. So if my average price was somewhere up here and I saw this, personally, I would start taking profits. But also I probably would have started taking profits around 100. I think that would have been like a great price point to start at. And at the same time, if you look at like crude oil itself, it's almost back up to that high, and you could almost anticipate a lower high happening here, because the chances of oil really continuing higher than like 130 are going to be low, guys. Like, obviously we can go up, but if that stuff keeps going much higher, we're going to have a lot of forces then trying to bring it down. So that's my opinion on oil. I would say, depending on where you bought the shares, I think that just straight up getting out for profits right now is not a bad way to go. or you could always sell covered calls and get those dividends like you're saying. But, you know, if I was in somewhere at like 77 to 80 and I saw the stock starting to fall over like this, I'd be getting out personally. Like I said, I would have liked to got out a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. You'd still be having a pretty nice profit right now. And the main reason of getting out is just charting. You know what I mean? Like, it's just overextended on the charts. Like, at some point, it's going to start falling off, kind of like what we're seeing here. You know, it's already fallen down like 10% in just a couple days. Let's see that percentage. But yeah, the main thing is, like, with price action, it's almost like what we saw at the SPY. You know what I mean? So Exxon's down like 9.4% right now. And I'll show you what I mean whenever I compare that to the SPY. If we go to like a max daily on the SPY, you can see for a couple years the SPY was just exploding, getting way too overextended. And at some point, you just have to expect a pullback here. And, you know, it started happening finally. Whether it's because of the feds or whatever, still, the market was at a crazy uptrend, and it was just continuing to make new highs, and it was kind of getting crazy at some point there. Once the Fed started reacting to high inflation, man, that market started tumbling over very, very hard. And a lot of that happens because investors are just also straight up taking profits. And I feel like that's going to definitely start happening here on some of these oil stocks. And I feel like we're starting to see the beginning of it now. But I will say oil is a very crazy market. I don't think it's going to be necessarily done going up yet. But those are my thoughts on, you know, if you were trying to play the oil stocks as of now. J Deep says, what about support for BABA? Yeah, let's see. Support for BABA. You know, $100 is going to be really big, J Deep. You know, that's always going to be a big level there. $100 is always big. Normally on every stock, it's usually a pretty huge psychological level. And looking at intraday movement here, it does look like $100 has held up as support in the past. So I would think that that would be the way to look at things right now, would be eye up that $100 support on BABA, J Deep. If we break below that, the next big one I see is right there on 93 to 94. So, J Deep, personally, I feel like BABA might end up falling below this. You know, we're having a pretty bad move to the downside after that big uptrend last week, and a lot of stocks are coming down. So I feel like BABA might keep going down. It looks like JD might also keep falling. So yeah, hopefully BABA holds there. But yeah, I see a big support at 100 and then right around 93 to 94. Kenya says SPY at 379. And yeah, good morning, Vicky. Welcome to the stream this morning. Yes, there we go. SPY is at 379, breaking below that 380 support that we were looking at there. So not good here. Let's look at that 1 minute chart. Ooh, it's consolidating a lot down here, Kenya. So wow, I don't know what to think about the SPY right now. I feel like, guys, like the SPY has sold off so much that at some point it has to stop. But, you know, we are on this big swing down. If we look at like a 1 year daily chart, the way SPY sold off the past 3 days particularly has been terrible. Mike and I were talking before the stream today, and look at /ES. Like, look at the daily chart. Look at these 3 red candles here. Like, those are some brutal red candles, guys. Like, those are just 3 straight up, like 2.5% plus red days, which for such a big indice like SPY or the S&P 500, that is insane. Mike says, great advice, Tom. Thanks again. I'm glad I never got in BABA the other day. They gave up all their gains from last week. Yeah, I know they did, didn't they? I mean, I kind of thought they were going to consolidate a little bit, then maybe start to go back up. Maybe they still are consolidating, but yeah, I'm definitely glad that I didn't trade this one either. You know, I will say, though, BABA had a great breakout on that daily chart. You can see it started finally breaking out of that blue trend line, and once it did that, they really exploded. And if we look at that blue trend line on like a 1 hour chart, you can see how we broke above it, and then we also confirmed off of it before really rising up. So those technicals were lining up in a good way at that time with BABA. Man, I really wish I would have pulled the trigger on that. Not gonna lie, guys. I mean, that was a pretty safe play there. I can't believe I didn't play that one, but yeah, it was just such a crazy move there with those China plays. Jerry Chang says, thanks, Tom. You're the best. If I could, I'd like the videos twice. Yeah, thanks so much, Jerry. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, like you said, I wish I could like videos twice too, because sometimes it's rough, you know, like the YouTube algo's been pretty tough lately, guys. I don't know if you guys have noticed that at all, but Man, a lot of the investing channels are way down. I will say, I feel like that whenever the market starts to come back up, though, I feel like some of the YouTube channels will start to do a little bit better. But yeah, definitely, I appreciate that, Jerry. And you know, the more likes, the better, as always. So if you guys still haven't liked the stream yet, definitely think about doing so. Man, we've been seeing some pretty crazy movement out of the market, and I feel like we've been eyeing up some pretty good plays here. So yeah, smash that like button, and of course, don't forget to join that Discord. There's some free day trades in the Discord today, and I'll tell you, some of those stocks are starting to go pretty crazy today. You know, Mike called out Microsoft, I called out Zoom, and Zoom had that huge move down there right at market open, so that could have been a pretty crazy play. Now it's starting to kind of fall back down again, so yeah, I don't know if you guys are interested, but check out that Discord link. I know a lot of you are probably already in there, but if you aren't yet, definitely check it out. But let's go back to some of those oil plays really, really quickly here. We have ZOM and a whole bunch of stocks starting to move around. ZOM's like all the way down around 95.44 today. Looks like it might try to post a good low down here. The good news is that these stocks actually kept moving after the market opened, which is great. You know, like a lot of stocks just started holding their ground or pulling back slightly. Let's see Rivian. Wow, guys, Rivian is coming back down today along with Lucid, it looks like. Look at Lucid. They're actually breaking below some of these key supports in a pretty big way. So, yeah, we are seeing some pretty brutal sell-offs. There's Delta Airlines also falling off down to around $33 there. Ooh, that is a brutal sell-off out of some of those reopening plays. Let's see Boeing. Yeah, guys, Boeing, I feel bad for this one. Wow, they're all the way back down to 117 on Boeing, guys. I mean, we're almost back down to that huge support level from just a few weeks ago. But honestly, that's just such a bad thing to see Boeing down that low. Look at Boeing on that max daily chart. We're almost down to the COVID lows at this point. So that is brutal, especially considering how much Boeing sold off. Like, they sold off at such a crazy pace that I just almost can't even believe the type of pace that they sold off with. But yeah, it's brutal for them, and hopefully they can hold at that $100 support down there. That would definitely be ideal for them. But wow, guys, this sell-off is like, this daily chart with Boeing is terrible. Like, let me know in the comments your thoughts on this, because wow, I kind of expected Boeing to start to go back up a little bit, but that is a brutal sell-off. You know, I will say they did have a lot of issues with plane crashes and stuff like that going on, so that could be some of the reason by that. So, you know, all those plane crashes going on, there was a lot of order issues because people obviously didn't want to order planes while they were crashing and stuff either. So that obviously affected them in a big way. But yeah, that is a brutal move down there. Peter is saying everything right now for the majority is dictated by the risk of high inflation and depression, and of course, Pow. Yeah, definitely. Big Daddy Powell there. He's definitely a big player right now. Let's actually see Big Daddy Powell. I think I still have him up here, do I? Oh, there he is. There's Powell right here for us. He's got that concerned look, and, you know, I think that's going to be the big look for us this week. I will say, guys, this article on investing.com, the top 5 things to watch in the market ahead, is a pretty good article this week. You know, they talk about the Feds raising rates there. We have the Bank of England raising rates too. They kind of talk about some different, some different like banking committees and stuff like that are going to be meeting this week too. So that's going to be very interesting with that. We're going to have data for retail sales come out on Wednesday along with the FOMC meeting. So that's going to be big there. It looks like industrial production numbers are due on Friday, so that's big. We have that PPI data on Tuesday, producer price inflation, which, you know, obviously kind of like the CPI data is consumer price inflation. This is producer price inflation, so keep that in mind. Looks like they're also saying initial jobless claims and housing starts are on Thursday, so do have some pretty big data points coming up, and it's going to be important to look through those. Ooh, that looks like a pretty cool putter there, but nonetheless. Going back to the market, Bick says, "Hi, Tom. Should I short Tesla?" You know, that's a very tough question there. Should you short Tesla? Personally, I would rather short it than long it at this point. Bick And I would say, honestly, it does not look like a bad short position today. If we start breaking below 660, like right now, I feel like it could be a pretty good short play. So personally, I think that'll be a really good way to go as a short Tesla. Although I will say that's not everybody's favorite thing to do. The market's down a lot. You know, it has a lot of downwards momentum. And personally, I feel like Tesla can start to fall off more, especially on the daily chart. Obviously, Tesla's down a lot right now, but so are a lot of growth stocks. Even big tech stocks like Meta, Square, stocks like that are down well over 50% plus, just like Tesla. So I think Tesla can definitely keep falling off here, especially with all the crazy stuff going on right now between Elon and Twitter. I've been also seeing stuff with Elon and even like Tesla employees saying that if you want to work from home, then you're fired, and you know, all that crazy stuff. So we've been seeing a lot of crazy headlines with Elon, but nonetheless, I feel like Tesla can easily come down to 600 or even a little bit lower, maybe down to like 550. Personally, I think it can go even lower than that, but that's just like my shorter term expectation. So yes, in my opinion, I think shorting Tesla would be a good way to go. Just keep in mind, Bick, that intraday, it's going to be very, very risky. Anything can happen. And at the same time, it's hard to short Tesla after we've had 3 humongous red days in a row. So just keep that in mind too, that, you know, we are down quite a bit, at least on a short-term level. I would not be surprised if maybe we popped up today and then started falling back off more tomorrow or later in the week with that FOMC meeting. Sometimes the market likes to slow down a little bit ahead of these meetings, so always keep that in mind too. We might see a bit of a slowdown, although usually like the day, like a few hours before the meeting starts, and then the day before, we do usually see a bit of an uptick, so keep that in mind. Exactly like what B Square said, be careful shorting. Market has been oversold, might pop to the upside. I definitely agree with that statement there. So, you know, it's like there's a lot of momentum to the downside right now, but you have to be very, very careful because it can always start to pop back up at any given time. And like, I'm not saying it's going to explode. You know, it's just going to have like a small intraday pullback to the upside. You know, we see that happen all the time. Like if we look at Tesla, even on Friday, it was a terrible day, right? But you can see it fell off, consolidated a little bit, and then towards the end of the day started rising back. That's what I'm a little bit worried about, but I will say it does look like it has that good momentum now. So very interesting setup with Tesla there. Peter says, Redbox about to break out, RDBX. Let's check it. Yes, it is, Peter. There we go. Right up to $18. You didn't disappoint me. Wow, there it goes. Up to $18.14. Just broke out above that resistance at $18 there. I'm actually going to throw a bit of a new price level right on that level there at 18. There we go. Boom. Yeah, pretty nice today, though, guys. Like, I will say Redbox has been very, very surprising. Like Peter said, it's like one of those WSB stocks, and who knows, maybe it's going to start to get some hype, and people are going to start to pump this thing up. I hope that happens sooner rather than later, though, because I feel like the more time we wait, the more of a chance there could be for another move back down. But still, guys, this is a very nice move with Redbox. If you guys are liking the movement with Redbox, of course, smash that like button. We're at 12 likes. We always like to get 15 or 20 likes, something like that. Always helps out. And hopefully Redbox keeps going. Since we're breaking out, let's kind of go back in time and see where we've been with Redbox. You know, we did have that pretty weird pop in the past, up around to $20 or so. I'm curious to see what Redbox is going to do here over the next few hours. Like, will they continue to run up all throughout the day, like up to around 20, or do you guys think they'll start to slow down a little bit? I feel like we're going to have some pretty mixed price action here, so it's going to be a little bit crazy. But yeah, Redbox is definitely having that move up today where almost every other stock is down. They are just continuing to fly, so kudos to them. I'm glad it's going well for them. Looks like we have Goldman Sachs here also falling off to the downside in a pretty bad way. Hate to see that. They are recovering up a little bit, but they are down on the day still. Same thing with Bank of America and JP Morgan. It looks like, guys, Bank of America, are they down around like a big support or something? Let's see. They are. I mean, I have a huge support posted on my chart here with Bank of America, right around $32. I think $30 below that is going to be another huge support too. But yeah, look at this big move down that these banks have been having. Like, honestly, Bank of America, if they start to trade back down to around $25, they're going to fall 50% from the high of year to low of the year. So pretty bad moves out of these banks. And yeah, you would think banks would like interest rates going up, but as of lately, that has not been the case. I'm sure that they're liking rates going up, but I'm sure other economic factors are hurting them, which is kind of why I feel like banks, have some issues during times of like higher inflation and stuff. I know there's been a lot of arguments about that in the past, but from what I've seen, the banks, they definitely don't like it right now. So definitely not good there. I hope that loans and lending and everything like that can stay normal under these bad inflationary times. That's my main concern is, I feel like that lending might start to drop. We might start to see less spending overall. People's savings accounts might start to go down a little bit, as they have to pay more for inflation. I saw actually a few weeks ago, there was a report that came out that said savings accounts were the highest they'd ever been. And that kind of had me double taking the market there. I was like, savings accounts are the highest they've ever been. And then just a few weeks later, we get reports of consumers are getting the hardest they've ever been hit with inflation, and the price of food is like exponential and, all that crazy stuff. But yet still, it seems like like they said, savings accounts were still the biggest they'd ever been. So it was very interesting. But nonetheless, I would think that, with inflation being high, people would try to park their money elsewhere. But I guess that is not going to be the case right now. I guess everyone's going to start saving up for, these higher costs with food and gas. And I'll tell you, whenever the price of gas, whenever your monthly gas expenses go from $500 to $1,200 or $1,500 even sometimes, it's kind of insane. But Anderson says, good morning, Tom. Are you still interested in Starbucks at this price point? Yes, I am, Anderson. Starbucks is still one of my favorite stocks down here at the lows. And keep in mind, I'm somebody who understands that Starbucks can keep going down here in the short term. Although I think it can keep going down, I still love it. I think it's still a great stock. I still think it's at a good price point to start to average into at. I wouldn't go all in right now, but like, let's say I wanted to grab, let's just for an example's case, like this is not, indicating anything I'm doing or anything like that. If I wanted like 500 shares of Starbucks, I might grab 500 shares here at 73. And then if Starbucks goes down to 70, I might grab 100 more shares. And then if it goes down to like 65, then 100 more shares, and I'll just keep averaging into those shares, week by week by week until I get to the amount that I want. Now, it's almost impossible to always catch the bottom, Anderson, so keep that in mind. That's why I think that implementing these strategies where you're averaging in are really good ways to go. And if you're implementing that while these stocks are at lows, you can get averaged into some pretty low prices sometimes. So personally, I still love Starbucks at this point, although I am a firm believer that it can go a little bit lower. If the market keeps turning over, like if that SPY keeps falling, and if we see, like if I go to /ES, the SPY futures or S&P 500 futures, if we continue to see these turn over with such drastic pace and, these futures head down to like 3,500 or something, we'll see that SPY, unfortunately, start to head down to around like 350 or so. And if that happens, unfortunately, I feel like Starbucks and almost every stock will go down a little bit at least over that big downtrend right there. Some stocks might not, like gun stocks or China stocks or commodities or something like that. Those might hold up okay, but for the most part, you'll probably see some tech stocks like Apple and stocks like that fall during that time, Anderson. And I just think Starbucks would be one of those stocks that gets dragged down a little bit with the SPY. So yes, I still like it, but you just have to be smart on your entry. I think that's a really key thing. Obviously people just always want to buy it right now, but if you can just be smart and like start to average in there, a really good way to go. But yeah, thank you so much for the comment, Anderson. And of course, thank you for joining up this morning. I really appreciate it. And, I'm always glad to talk about some of those longer term plays like Starbucks. If you're talking about it in the short term, just let me know. Like if you're looking for a day trade with it, I could always go over something with that as well. But I figured you were talking the longer term there. Kenya says Redbox ran on October 25th. It went from 1234 to 2722 in a day, and on November 4th from 931 to 1918 at the high there. Yeah, I know it did actually, Kenya. I was looking at that daily chart earlier and I was like, whoa, what happened there? And you're right, it had some pretty crazy moves. So it's kind of hard to gauge Redbox, but yeah, it's been insane. It's definitely had crazy moves before. What I will say is you can kind of tell whenever stocks get crazy moves going on, they usually end up having crazy drops back down. So I want you to keep that in mind when looking at Redbox right here. We might not be just, straight up this whole entire time. I'm sure that we'll see some pretty big drops and stuff like that thrown in as well. Dave is asking about where the SPY will be end of day. Let's see. Let's go check out that SPY. Yeah, we're breaking below 380 right here. Continuing lower, 378.87. That is not good, guys. That is not good at all. Hate to see that the market is tanking off in such a big way like this. Whenever I'm looking at this, it's definitely a pretty bad drop through that support. And yeah, I feel like the SPY is going to continue a little bit lower here now that this happened, Dave. I will say, though, the market is definitely a little bit oversold, on a shorter term basis. So whenever I'm looking at the SPY here, as we start to go down, it's going to be a tough one. I would think we might stay somewhere around like 377 maybe to end the day. It depends on how much this one drops intraday, but I don't think that we're going to necessarily continue down with like as much momentum as we did on Friday or anything like that. Although it is possible. I mean, guys, like this is a pretty big break of this 380 support. So I hate to say it, but another big red day. And if we look at that daily chart here, we're starting to extend down below in a pretty good way. So yeah, it's definitely brutal. And we're continuing just on that big downtrend. Yeah, like Brewdog said, oh snap. Yeah, that is a big snap of that support there. Yeah, that is a crazy move. Yeah, oh snap is right. Even Snap's down 7% there. Brewdog, I know you didn't mean Snapchat, I don't think, but still, it's crazy to see it down that much. But yeah, this definitely a big break of support here. So Dave, I would say SPY will be somewhere around 380 or just under to end the day. I don't think that we're just going to, have huge selling pressure all day long, although, the momentum is pointing that way. I would just think at some point we would have a bit of an intraday move back up, kind of like what Square was talking about earlier about being careful shorting the market here. But Vicky's coming in with some good information saying households have $12 trillion in savings, and the crazy spending is not going to stop until the Fed does what needs to be done. There's inflation. There's inflation because people, not the Fed, are spending money, as there is no tomorrow. Look at people's garage, closets, and anywhere inside their houses. Purely hoarders. Yeah, I feel what you mean there, Vicky. I definitely know what you're saying. It seems like people just keep paying outrageous prices for cars, for houses, for food, for clothes, for everything. Like at some point, I feel like people are going to start to lose their money and then have to be forced to save, Vicky. So I don't know what's happening right now, but yeah, it's a crazy time, and I agree that people are playing a big role in it as well. Yeah, that definitely matters. Everyone always talks about the Feds printing money, but I definitely know what you're saying there, Vicky, because, if people just keep spending and spending and spending, people are never going to bring prices back down. So yeah, I definitely understand, and it's a crazy time the way people have been spending lately, Vicky. I'll tell you, it's been insane. I have some friends who, man, they've some of them. You look at like what they buy and what they do, and you're like, man, like I know that you are putting that on credit cards or something, because man, sometimes the spending by people lately has been nuts. I will say, Vicky, I've also seen reports saying that credit card debt is the highest it's been in a long time as well, if not the highest ever. I don't know what the highest ever is, but I think they said, the highest in a long time. So keep in mind that spending on credit cards is also bad. Like that's another bad reasoning here. And who knows, maybe we'll see something bad happen with like a credit card collapse or something like that, or maybe something with like student loans, or I don't know, but it's going to be a pretty crazy thing. Maybe we'll see like a nice, kind of like how they came out with The Big Short about the 2008 financial crisis. I can't wait until there's maybe like a good documentary about this crisis that we're kind of going through now, because, I know people keep talking about recession on the horizon, and we'll have to see what happens as these GDP numbers come out. But yeah, it's going to be a tough thing over the next couple weeks, guys, and people are definitely worried about a lot of big economic data points there. But yeah, thank you for the comments, Vicky, always, of course, and yeah, thanks for all the nice comments. E says Bears won that fight on SPY. Yes, they did. They definitely won that fight. That was a tough one, and it just fell right through support again. Yeah, we're all the way down to 378 even almost now. So just continued to move lower, and it's just continuing to fall off the table there. B Square is saying $DXY and /VX is breaking its high, and DXY is going to be the dollar index, of course. Yeah, wow, it's all the way up to 105 almost there. That is pretty insane. Peter called out, Peter, what did you say in Discord again? Peter said something like, I think he said maybe like 107 this week or something. He was trying to call the high this week, I think, on the dollar. But yeah, you can see how the dollar's definitely getting up there. It's about to have another big breakout, so definitely keep your eyes on that dollar index. Like they also said, /VX, which is VIX Futures, is also on the rise. You can see VXX and UVXY is also rising. UVXY is having a really good move up, guys. It's up 14% here, and it's starting to really break. So pretty insane to see this thing moving up the way that it is. But yeah, that's SPY, guys. Wow, we're now below 378 even, down to 377.84 now, guys. I mean, this is a bad breakthrough support, and we're just continuing to see that bad price action this morning. Let's go check out the headlines on CNBC. Maybe there's something crazy that came out. Don't forget about that gun news this week, guys. We might see something happen with that. But let's see. Wow, can't forget about Bitcoin, guys. Bitcoin drops 15%, falling below $24,000. $200 billion was wiped off the crypto market over the weekend. That is definitely insane, guys. Yeah, like they say here, global markets are tanking ahead of a huge week for central banks. Apparently, it's not just our markets, it's global markets in general. Very interesting. I know this is pretty funny to me because before we've seen some articles over the past 5 days, no one has ever talked about the 2-year treasury rate, but now I keep seeing people bring it up, which is very funny. But yeah, people usually never talk about the 2-year rate, but it's very funny now to see it coming out again. It says it's edging closer to an inversion with the benchmark 10-year rate, and apparently that's seen by a lot of analysts and stuff as an impending recession. So be careful of that, guys. That definitely does not sound good there, but I know people have been talking about the 2-year and the 10-year treasury yields a lot over the past couple months. Even like the 30-year mortgage rates are kind of insane. So yeah, it's kind of insane to see how all this stuff is going crazy, with the 2-year yields and everything like that. Like if we look at these charts here, it's just absolutely nuts to see how much they rise in a given day. Like let's go look at TNX, for example, just like that 10-year yield. Like look at that thing, up to $33 today. Look at that max daily chart. It's like, holy shit, guys, like all the way up to 33. Like what is going on with TNX? But yeah, it obviously has a lot to do with the Feds raising rates, inflation going up, and everything like that. So pretty big there. Wow. Peter says Bitcoin withdrawals are halted on Binance. Peter, that is insane, actually. I cannot believe that they halted Bitcoin withdrawals. If it keeps going down, can you imagine how pissed everyone's going to be if they get stuck, like they're not allowed to withdraw? That would piss a lot of people off. But yeah, that is not good there. Not good at all, Peter. That sounds really rough, actually. I can't believe that. Let's see Mara and Riot. Yeah, Mara had a big gap down this morning. I'm sure Riot did too. Yeah, Riot gap down. Coinbase was also gapping. So, man, Coinbase, guys, has been awful. Let's see that max daily chart. Wow, that low's at $40 now. I can't believe this. I remember people were buying up Coinbase at like $200 plus. So to see it go down this much is brutal. And man, I tried to help a lot of people and have them not buy it at the time, but oh, I guess people just love that crypto, you know? Man, I will say, guys, the crypto market is one of the craziest markets in the world. Like, and I will say, guys, we shouldn't be too totally surprised by this crazy movement with crypto. Um, like whenever I'm like looking at the charts here, like whenever I eye up crypto, one of my biggest things with crypto is that, you know, Bitcoin has fallen before, guys. You know, it's not like Bitcoin falling is a foreign thing. Like we've had periods in the past in 2017, 2018 where Bitcoin flew up to $20,000 almost and then fell all the way down to 3,000. All right, so up to 20,000 down to $3,000, okay? So like talk about a percentage drop to the downside, right? Like that is one of the biggest, steepest drops I've seen in a long time out of stock. So let me try to get that percentage really quickly here. Divided by 3,000. Let's see. So I think it's something like it dropped like 93.4% or something like that. Something really close at least. I mean, like, guys, that is just an insane drop. You know, like 20 grand down to 3 grand. That is just, it's so brutal, like to the point of that, you know, you have to like just be very careful with the crypto markets. They're very, what should I say? They're unregulated and they're just very risky in general. So I'm not trying to hate on crypto. I'm just saying you just got to be really, really careful with when you buy it. You know what I mean? Like it was at 68,000. So if we're talking about, I'm not saying it's going to have the same percentage drop like it did last time, but like, let's just say, you know, in layman's terms, it does, then we're going to see a drop from like 68,000 down to like, you know, 8,000 or something, guys, you know, 9,000, 10,000, something like that. So just keep in mind, this thing can keep falling a heck of a lot more. And all that I got to say about this is that it's unregulated. So, you know, it's going to be hard to control this drop as well. But what I will also say is we've seen a lot of growth stocks fall off a lot more than Bitcoin over the past couple of years. So keep that in mind too, that if you look at Bitcoin over like a 3 to 5 year period, it's still done very, very well. It's kind of like the ARKK or like, you know, like some of those big growth stocks. Like, of course, they were overextended for a while. Now they're starting to get back down at least to the beginning of some decent valuations. But yeah, I feel like that's just where we're at with Bitcoin there. And I feel like it can definitely go lower, although I hope it doesn't. But yeah, poor SPY, guys, all the way down to 377.40 now. Just continued lower while I was looking at Bitcoin there. And yeah, we're just continuing our steep sell-off today. Hopefully we can start to slow down at some point, guys. But wow, this is nuts. Mike Chang says, any thoughts on hedging UVXY or SQQQ? Or do you think it's too late? Ooh, so Mike, I would say at least today it's too late. SQQQ is already up a lot. UVXY is another one, again, already up a lot. So I'd be really careful hedging with these ones over the next couple days. What I will say, though, is if you want to play them in the short term, maybe trying to get into like an intraday move to the upside or something isn't bad, Mike. But if I was going to buy and hold like a hedge right now, yes, I do think it's too late. Although, I definitely think that these things can go up a lot higher. Like, I've seen UVXY, VXX, and stuff like that pop up a ton before. And it's popped up like way higher than I've seen a lot of other stocks pop up in the past, especially when the market falls. And in my eyes, I can see the SPY continuing to sell off. So the main thing is like if the SPY continues down, no matter how overextended those hedging stocks are in the short term, they'll still go up. You know, if the SPY goes down, those stocks will still go up. But personally, I wouldn't be swinging them, Mike, because we could wake up tomorrow and then they gap down a ton. So that's where I think holding through close right now with SQQQ or with UVXY is a bad way to go. But if you want to day trade it, Mike, more power to you, and I think it'll be a pretty good trade. Even if you do swing them, it won't be bad necessarily. Just keep in mind it's a little bit risky just with it being overextended. Like you could wake up one morning and then the like for example, the implied volatility might go nuts and screw over your options, even though the market might be holding up in your direction okay, or just slightly losing or something. That IV might cause you to have a crazy drop. So it always depends, but yeah, we'll have to monitor the market over the next few days, Mike. I feel like at some point we're going to see a pop back up, but man, almost every stock in the market's down today, whether you look at Facebook or Microsoft or Apple or, I don't know, Tesla even. I mean, pick out a stock today and it's dying. Like Tesla really sold off intraday. I know Bick was asking about some puts on Tesla earlier. I feel like if you would have shorted that right there, it could have been a pretty good play. That was a decent support there at 660. Even though Tesla's a little bit overextended, I mean, we're seeing the market fall off with some pretty crazy Momo here, so keep that in mind. B Square says, good luck, guys, and see you tomorrow. Thanks for the free stream, Tom. Yeah, no problem, Square. Thank you so much for being here, of course, and thanks for all the support and all the good conversations. Always glad to look at that dollar index, too. I'm always glad to talk about that. I know Peter and I have talked about that one quite a bit over the past few weeks. One big thing is for some reason gold, it generally likes to move against the dollar, which is interesting. So to see gold starting to fall off right here isn't too surprising. It's pretty crazy to see the chart with DXY. Obviously, gold can go up with the dollar at some points, but you know what I mean? It's not like something that happens all the time. Gold was really going up at the end of this year just with inflation and with all that bad Russia news going on. I should say probably in like a normal, slower type of market, that's whenever gold usually likes to go against the dollar. Like you can see like gold during the year of 2021 was very stagnant, actually slightly lost on the year because it opened up a little bit higher there. I will say mostly though for that year, just very flat. I'm not going to necessarily give it a red year that year because it opened higher. The data's just a little bit skewed there, like it just happened to pop up right at the beginning of the year and then fall off right away. A little bit unlucky there, but I will say that does make the data look a little bit off. And then if we go look at $DXY during 2021, so you can see during 2021, the dollar index pretty much just went straight up the whole entire year. So that's why I'm pointing that out there. Although gold did rise with the dollar here this year, like I said, there was a very strange thing going on with Russia and everything like that. You always got to look at those deeper insights. But in like a normal market, gold and the dollar generally like to move against each other, which is a little bit interesting. But as we know, gold has been a pretty safe place to park money over the years, whereas the dollar, generally loses its value, as we know. We know that a lot recently with the inflation and all that news coming out. We've been learning that the dollar loses its value and slowly becomes worth less and less. You know what I mean? Like as gas goes up, the money that you're making then just is worth less because gas costs more. So kind of insane, but yeah, over time the dollar just gets worth less and less and less. But at the same time, that's why you should be making then more and more and more as that happens. So kind of weird, but just a little weird way on how the economy goes there with pricing and wages and everything like that. But yeah, all the way down to 377 today, guys. Brutal sell-off with the SPY, but it will probably close up the stream here pretty shortly. I hate to sound like the doom and gloom guy today, but all that we've seen is just moves down. I mean, the only thing that did well today was RDBX or Redbox, and it had like a fake out there, so not even that one ended up being too good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining up today. I really appreciate it, of course. Peter, George, Bick, J Deep, of course, Square, Brewdog, E, Vicky, Dave, Mike Chang, Bill, Jamie. I appreciate all you guys, seriously. It's always awesome to talk about stocks and different market movements and stuff like that, obviously. J Deep said Baba here at the end of the stream. Let's see Baba really quick. Wow, Baba's below $100, guys. Not good. We're definitely seeing a big pullback out of some of these China stocks here today after that big explosion last week. So yeah, thanks for pointing that one out, J Deep. But yeah, I really appreciate all you guys. I hope you guys can get some pretty good profits today. And as always, we'll be in the Discord. Just come in and at Mike, Hunter, or myself, and we'll go ahead and help you out with any questions or with anything you want. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day and bring in those profits for us.